just going to read one. So you see there's bold lines. So I'll read with you guys. And so this is a journal entry. So this must be a journal entry from a scientist. March 13th, 2019. So this is about a little over a year ago. I open the white file cabinet drawer and pull out the first drop folder. I quickly question why we are putting data in from the 1960s when we have digital data for decades. I open the folder and find notes on the pictures drawn. We can get this same snapshot using our telescopes and computers now. This image was drawn with what could be seen with an unaided eye. As I look at the detail, I am impressed with the patience and precision of the data. But understanding that no one other than this astronomer could see this unless another specifically asked for it. So the question I want you guys to think about. Why is it important for scientists to share data? Why might scientists sometimes not want to share data? So just think about that. Don't keep reading. Look up here. Let's do the first question. Why is it important for scientists to share data? Go ahead, Lincoln.
Because that way other people know about the data.
Okay.
They probably
Cassie, go ahead. Ask
won't want to be selfish.
So they know what they're doing, and they can try and make their own stuff, like stuff about it.
Okay. Mabel?
So that sometimes if they're old and they sometime might pass away, if they're still doing the project, somebody can finish their work.
Okay. So the second part of that question, why might scientists sometimes not want to share data? Mabel.
Because it might be dangerous and private, and they don't want anybody to get hurt.
Okay. Lincoln?
They don't want anybody to steal their idea. So like that the other person announces it to the public and says it was their idea.
Okay.
But it was really theirs.
Okay. So there's maybe some competition pieces of science. All right, let's keep reading. Back then, astronomers' jobs must have looked very different from what they do today. I turn on my computer and I can do all my research and analysis using my computer. I can see astronomers' work from all over the world with a simple search. I can look at the same galaxy or a star from different perspectives, from different times throughout the last 3 decades. This was not always the case. I pick up the glass plate and analyze the details and brief notes that are on it. These detailed images and comments are what is missing from some of these images. I do not have the patience to dictate every part of the sky the way this astronomer did. So the question, how did technology shape the job of an astronomer?
It's an astronomer.
It's somebody who studies the stars.
And sky.
Go ahead.
It probably made it a lot easier. That way, nowadays they can just take a picture of the thing, but back then they had to draw it out very carefully.
Mabel?
They can just go out at night and look at the star, take a picture, then research it on the computer.
Oh.
The next day.
So let's actually go back to this stuff. All of this, imagine there's thousands, there's millions of stars in the sky. We call this a database. How do you think having this on a computer might help astronomers?
So much.
But how?
I mean, they know how far it is, the actual magnitude, the apparent magnitude, the distance, the mass, and the speed.
Okay, Mabel?
It helps them because they know what the star is called. They know what the brightness looks like. If they can't describe it, they can just show people on that so they can understand.
Okay. And then how do you think computers, how would this be different if you had millions and millions of these lines? How would it be different if you didn't have a computer to look through all this? How would it be different if you didn't have a computer to look through all these lines of data? Lincoln?
It'd just be this really long sheet big sheet of paper.
Okay.
Kind of like in the comic movies.
Okay, so now here's something so there's definitely some good things about putting all this data on the computers. What's some bad things about putting the data on computers? Mabel?
You could accidentally send it on to someplace where other scientists can see it,
Okay.
and then they can steal your idea.
Okay. Lincoln?
anybody can hack the computer and look at it.
So some security issues. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep reading. In the 1960s, astronomers started to pair up with computer engineers, and glass plates became a thing of the past. Computers were placed in telescopes, and computers became a must for astronomers to do their job. Data and patterns could be collected more quickly and shared around the world. Today, I can access data from a telescope on the other side of the world. That was not always the case. Astronomers were having such a hard time transferring data due to the use of multiple different databases. I look closer at the glass plates and look at the galaxies that are shown and only think about how this data was significant to them. Computers were introduced during the 1960s and never left our field. By the 1970s, these glass plates were quickly being replaced by digital images. In 1979, astronomers across the world wanted to access everyone's data and converted everything to the File Image Transport System, or FITS. Here I am, 5 decades later, putting this data into the database. How did technology benefit scientists? We kind of already talked about that a little bit, but let's talk about it again. How do you think the technology, computers, benefited scientists?
They made everything easier.
Okay.
It made everything easier by telling the scientists if they're wrong or right, and changing the answers and correcting them.
Oh, that's interesting. So we talked earlier in this lesson about how a pencil is a type of technology. Let's think about a telescope. A telescope is a type of technology. How do you think that helps scientists? Cash.
You can see closer to what you're looking at.
A lot.
If it's in the sky and it's kind of far away, you can see it really well with the telescope.
It's
Okay.
light
Can you
years
see
away.
light years away?
Maybe.
Yes,
Maybe
because
it's
that light eventually gets to us. Okay, what's the next part of this question? How do you think technology might have made their jobs more difficult? Lincoln.
Like I said, anybody that is skilled enough could break in and hack it and take credit.
Okay. If this was before we had computers that could share all kinds of data, you wouldn't have millions and millions of pieces of data. So how do you think having access to millions of lines makes things more difficult?
You don't know where to start, where to end.
Okay, all right, let's keep reading. As I start putting this into the FITS system, I was in awe and realized the growth my field has made over the years and in such a short period of time. I am impressed with the work that astronomers have done in the past to influence my job now. As I watch the loading icon, I cannot imagine sitting and focusing a telescope for hours 3 decades ago. It was not just the technology that progressed astronomy, but the desire for better research and data.
How astronomy has changed over time.
How has astronomy changed over time? What do you guys think? How has the way people study the stars changed over time? Lincoln.
Well, people used to have to just stare in a telescope for hours, maybe even days at a time,
Okay.
just to make one picture.
But now
Yes.
there's the rovers that go into space, so you can get better looks
Okay.
from computers.
Yeah. Well, and we also send telescopes into space, so they can get away from our planet and away from all the light
And satellites.
and the pollution.
Well, how do you send a telescope into space?
It's basically a satellite that's just kind of up there and going around our planet,
Oh,
and that way it's
yeah, I
farther
know
out
what
into
you're
the
talking
sky
about.
already.
I know it's the same as you're talking about.
So, Mabel, how do you think astronomy or the way we study the stars has changed?
I think the inventors in the world have made scientists' jobs easier because technology is a really helpful thing in your life.
What are some downsides of technology? What are some bad things about technology in just our everyday lives? Lincoln.
Well, it can malfunction.
Okay. Even when it's working the right way and it doesn't run out of battery, like all those are things that are unfortunate. But even when everything's working the way you want it to, what are some bad things about technology?
You can't always get internet.
Okay, but that's when it's not working right. I want an example of a bad thing about, like, how do you think technology changes the way people act? Maybe.
Sometimes it can like if you do something too long, like for example watch TV too long, it kind of makes you forget how to do a bunch of stuff.
Okay. Lincoln?
If you spend too much time on your phone, eventually the only way you may talk to your friends is by texting and calling.
Alright, so what questions do you guys have about anything we talked about today? Alright, then we're done. Good job, guys.
And